From the Dallas On Air studios, beautiful Dallas, Texas, this is Fulfillment right here on DallasOnAir.com. And now here's your host, the Vegabomber, PJ Dunn.
Oh, welcome everybody. We are the Fulfillment Show, and this is Season 3, Episode 5. And today I am joined to my right by my right-hand man, my left-hand man, just my man. And that is John E Flix.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, he's awake. And how about you, the man behind the camera that you hear just the booming voice, but sometimes he cuts in on us with his jokes. That would be Kazak.
Daylight savings time should be abolished and sent the way of the Cloverfield monster. One shot, never heard from again.
Yes, and that's the normal crew. But today we also have a special guest, and our special guest is no other than a YouTube star, Prim.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
We're good, man. We're good. We're glad to have you on. So today we are talking about anti-heroes. And so when we start talking about anti-heroes, the question is, why do we root for them? Why do we like them as much as the hero? What is it about anti-heroes that we get into? And so, Johnny, what do you think? Why do we like the anti-hero?
For me, I think it's because they represent something most people don't do in their lives. Most people keep their mouths shut. They just go with the flow. And every once in a while, it's nice to see somebody go, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm taking a stand.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Kazak? What do you think about that?
I think sometimes the good guy isn't always the good guy, so sometimes you got to say hi to the bad guy. In desperate times, you got to call for desperate situations, and that's when you call for the desperate. That's when you call for the desperate guy, man.
Hey, Prim, what about you, man? Why do you like anti-heroes?
I think it's something where having somebody who just not following the status quo is something that I like, you know.
Yeah.
So that's it for me.
There's a bit of a rebel in there. Yeah. And so this anti-hero thing, I thought I'd look it up to make sure, because as you know, there's many different definitions of what this could be. And so I tried to take what was the majority of what I saw was what seemed to be the pattern to it. So the anti-hero would be simply just this. It's just somebody who's looking after their own self-interest. They usually are lonely or set to a spot where they feel like they're the only one that's in their shoes, and then they'll try and attempt to try to connect. But then if society doesn't give them the response they want, it seems to unleash this other side of them that just comes out, and then they get known for that more so than maybe what they were. So TV examples of this would be Walter White. We all remember him from Breaking Bad.
Sure.
Tony Soprano we remember. And then if we're talking about films, Michael Corleone. And also Joker. So some characteristics, 3 easy ones to pick out. This seemed to be the consensus, and that is first.
Wait, you call Joker an anti-hero?
Yeah.
Oh no. We're gonna have to go in on this one.
Yeah.
Why would you call him an anti-hero? He is absolutely a bad guy. There's no moral goodness in him. And with the anti-hero, there's some moral goodness. There's some moral high ground. The Joker, there's no moral high ground. It's just chaos. Some men want to watch the world burn, and that's what he is.
Yes, he is that.
Now,
And
Harley Quinn, I'll argue.
Okay. So here's the thing. Here's where this fits. This is why this is perfect. So the character is somebody that's at odds with society. That's Joker. Motivated by self-interest. That's Joker. And then his actions are sometimes noble. Like he didn't want to go and chase those kids who beat him up. That was noble. But that guy gave him a gun saying you should go take care of it. But he was still destructive and problematic. So there was a part to Joker where he wasn't just all evil. Once he had it, according to the way he was projected in the last film. In the last film, he was projected as somebody who didn't have his meds, who was still living with his mom and still tried to take care of his mom until he didn't. And then he was somebody who he could have exacted revenge on those kids who hit him with the signs, and he didn't. So there is some nobility to that. But then we saw what happened to him as the film went on. So again, that makes it fun, right? This is
okay. I would like to interject.
Say that again.
I would like to say something to that.
Yeah, go ahead, Prim.
The Joker's a bad guy.
Yeah.
He's a straight up bad guy. If he has a moment where he lets somebody live or just overlook something or give somebody a pass, that doesn't make him an anti-hero.
There you are.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. So what do you think about the way he was shown in the last movie, though? Because, see, the last movie, we see that he's getting beat up by people that's the same thing that happened to other folks in these anti-heroes. We see that he wasn't a bad person. He wasn't doing bad things until the government told him they were going to cut off his medications, and he couldn't get that. And so once he got desperate, that's when he turned. So I don't know. I see that a little different. I see that in the beginning, he was a normal guy, at least the way Todd Phillips portrayed him, not the Joker from the comic books. I agree with you. If you're talking about right? Go ahead.
I agree with you, but I didn't watch the movie because it wasn't a true origin movie of the Joker. So
so
it
that's
was more like a social commentary piece on society using the Joker and exposing things, which, you know, Joaquin Phoenix is a good actor. I know it's probably well made and well written, but that's not the Joker to me. So I will see the movie, but I'm not like really going on my way to watch it.
Okay. But see, this is why this is great. It creates this an interesting, you know, conflict of looking at this, and that's why I think what we will talk about today is that conflict, because most of these films, whether they're anti-heroes or whether they're straight up villains or whether they're anti-protagonists, okay, because that's another form. Okay. Then if that's the case, then we have to look at it and say, well, where is the moral balance, right? Because if a guy is trying to defend himself from guys kicking his ass, that's anything any one of us would do.
Okay, I'll buy anti-protagonist. I'll buy that one. I'll buy that explanation. But no, I'm not buying hero because again, Joker's actions are noble to no one but himself.
Yes.
And with at least the anti-hero, there's nobility in their actions somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I think we're talking about the difference between Todd Phillips' Joker, which is different. I'm talking about that Joker. I'm not talking about the comics Joker. Yes, obviously he's the bad guy. Okay. But if we're talking about Todd Phillips' Joker, he does do a lot to show you in the beginning that this is just a feeble person who has mental problems, right?
But you know what? I don't think that's an anti-hero though.
Tell me.
I think that just displays what's going on in society. An anti-hero to me is somebody having a strong belief and want to get to the end of his means by any means necessary. Yeah. And some people or the majority of society will view it as wrong, but he sees what he's doing is right, and he'll do what he needs to do to get the outcome that he wants.
Exactly.
Like Thanos, people like that.
Thanos is not an anti-hero though. Thanos is the bad guy.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, because his what he did was he was trying to save people by getting half rid of everybody and reset everything.
Right, he's protecting the resources of the universe from a whole population.
He wasn't doing it for himself.
Yeah,
he wasn't doing it for himself. It wasn't like I'm taking over. He did it, and he went to his farm and sat down and just Or what about Killmonger?
What about Killmonger?
Is he anti-hero?
I would say because he is the way he's portrayed, we get to see why he's angry, but that I don't think that what he was trying to do was noble in any kind of way. So I think he is the villain. He's absolutely the villain. And even when Black Panther's talking to him after he's been
But see, that's the thing. What makes him the villain?
Well, because he's actually going up against the protagonist the whole film, and the protagonist is trying to stop him from doing something that's going to create more trouble. So to me, the protagonist. So here's the problem now. The problem is we don't understand what protagonist is. Okay, so
no, we know what it is, but what did he do?
Right? Say it again.
What made him the villain to you?
What made
Killmonger?
What made him the villain?
Yeah,
because
the way he went about it.
Well, yeah, he stole things. He killed his own girlfriend just to get to his very end. To get over there, he was going to try to take the throne because he had revenge against somebody who he felt like done something wrong to him. Imagine if all the heroes tried to take revenge on everything that was done wrong with them, right? But that's not usually what's driving them. It's not the revenge to get back at somebody for doing something wrong. They're getting after them because they did something wrong. And they're saying, I'm the person who's the only person here that's able to right it. So Killmonger.
So we'll say Killmonger is a villain, and we'll say, or for me, Thanos is an anti-hero.
So I'm
just saying for myself. That's my opinion.
That's good. That's good. So I think the problem is though that if you're going to be, who decides that you're the person who knows everything about everything, that you get to decide how half the world lives or dies. To me, that's pretty draconian. I don't think a hero does that.
But they're doing that now in society. We have laws and stuff in different societies
right,
if you don't
but
like
we're talking about the movie. We're
yeah.
talking about the movie. We're going with how it was presented in the movie. In the movie, one guy decided, I'm the person who's going to decide whether all of life is going to be half here or half gone. So to that end, I don't know of a hero that would ever say, I'm willing to kill half the population.
Technically, he didn't pick
But
and
it's not
choose.
about being a hero. So I think you're doing the cookie cutter hero thing.
Okay.
And that's, you know, when you think of Superman, you think of, you know, American Pie,
That's
pure
who he
through and
is.
through.
That's who Superman is.
And stuff like that. And that's good, but I think there's a gray area for superheroes, and that's the anti-hero.
I agree.
Like the Punisher.
Right, but the Punisher wasn't trying to kill half the world because he decided.
No, but he was
the one
killing anybody that did wrong.
Yeah, he did, and that's why I say. So I don't argue that See, I think we're getting confused here. I'm not saying that the Punisher is an anti-hero. I see that he's an anti-hero, but Thanos, especially if I was read him in the comic books, he is evil. Now the movie portrays it as here's his philosophy, but see, Hitler also thought he was doing the right thing by killing Jews. Okay.
Nah, we'll go back to what you said, sticking to the movie theater, the movies and stuff. Because that's what I was saying earlier, trying to use an example. You said stick to the movies, so we'll stick to the movies.
Right. No, we can stick to the movies, but there's been movies done on Hitler, so I can say that. Am I not right? So
but
again,
Hitler, his agenda was to really take over for himself.
Well, I think all dictators start off that way, but they also need power from people and people that they can get underneath them to do what they want to do. But the thing is, Hitler, if you ask Hitler, he thought he was doing the right thing for Germans because he was looking out for Germans.
Right,
he's
allowing he's allowing the master race to take.
And he was superior. He thought he was superior to everybody else.
Right. So to me, he's not an anti-hero just because he.
Oh, I never said he was.
I know. Just let me finish. My goodness, we're gonna have a really interesting conversation. We're gonna argue all day. It looks like. Okay, I'm just trying to make a simple premise on the show. Damn. Okay, the simple premise is, and we're gonna talk about it because we've picked a bunch of anti-heroes, and we're gonna talk about why they're anti-heroes. So the difference is, there is a thin line between the villain and the anti-hero sometimes. But the way we look at anti-heroes is they're willing to go an extra step. So Batman is willing to beat guys up first and then leave them for Commissioner Gordon, whereas Superman would just grab you and just drop you off, and Superman wouldn't try to beat you up first. But we understand why Batman's that way. He watched his parents get killed in front of him. So there's the edge that he has. So the anti-hero is somebody who will go the extra mile, like you said earlier, John, that the normal hero that you mentioned, Prim, wouldn't do. They go an extra mile, and you could question whether it was really a good thing for them to do it all at any rate.
I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, that's all we're saying. So the characteristics that we've seen, we're saying that this is someone who's at odds with society usually, and if you're Thanos, you would be at odds with society because no one should have the power to just do a snap and get rid of half the people, because who do you decide are the people that go? And if you decide it's just these people or those people, now you're discriminating. So how's that good, right? So there's a problem there. So then they're usually motivated by self-interest. They have to at some point because they're loners. They've been stepped away from society and society doesn't accept them. So that makes sense. And then finally, sometimes the anti-hero, not the villain, sometimes they do some noble things. But the difference is that when they get triggered, all bets are off. And you can't control them, and you just let a rabid dog loose. And that's Taxi Driver all day long. And Taxi Driver, Joker was built off the guts of Taxi Driver, the film. But we'll get into all of that. We're just in the open segment. So if we can agree at least that these are at least some of the characteristics, not all, right, the consensus of what an anti-hero is, then we're not going to discover that through film. But first, why don't we jump into our first segment, if we can do that. And in our first segment, we're going to talk about what we have recently just watched, and I will go ahead and jump out the box first. And I talked a little bit about this to you guys off camera last time. So the movie I saw, absolutely hated, was I Care a Lot, with Rosamund Picke in it. So Rosamund Picke does an excellent job. She's great. She was great in Gone Girl, right? She was great in Jack Reacher. She plays a really awesome, detestable, repugnant villain, right? The problem with this movie is that they try to make it seem like she's the anti-hero here, but there's nothing redeemable about this character at all. So the synopsis is that she gets herself set up as a ward to old people, and she gets her doctor friend to certify that this person can no longer take care of themselves anymore, so that she can then become the legal guardian of this person. So then she sticks them in the retirement community of her choice, where they keep people drugged up so that family members can't come see them. She takes their cell phones so they can't call their family members to come get them out. And meanwhile, she goes and fleeces them by selling all their stuff because she's now the legal guardian. This is who this is. And this is who we're supposed to root for in a time of, you see now with COVID, who's dying of COVID? It's the older folks. So I think the messaging and the timing of this is way off. But they try to say that it's a dark comedy, but I didn't find it funny. I don't think that's funny. Would we have the same reaction if this was a pedophile? A story about somebody who was sleeping with a bunch of children and all this other stuff? No, we wouldn't. So I didn't like this. I didn't care for it. And the mob, Prim, you'll like this. The mob, the way they showed the Russian mob in this, they were weak. They got taken out by one woman with a taser. The whole Russian mob. Right? Yeah. That's ridiculous. And then there's a whole bunch of other deus ex machinas in this film. So when it comes down to it, I saw a lot of people liking it because they thought, this is great. There's two villains in this movie. And it's like, two villains. Okay, so you want me to root for one or the other? Sure, it could be interesting, but I just didn't like the idea that it seemed nothing to say it's okay to do this to elderly people and then keep their children from it. And then it has a very nasty feministic message in it, when the reason why the guy is upset with her is not because she's a woman that beat him in court. It's because she stole his mom from him, and his mother died in this place that she put him. So he says all these things. So there's some weird connections that they tried to make with this. And the director was Jay Blakeson. And it's like, again, you had Dianne Wiest was the mother that they were doing this to. She plays the mother. And Peter
Great
Dinklage,
actress.
Yeah, absolutely great actress. And so the movie starts well. You will love it when it first starts because you like to see the premise, but you're thinking, good, this is a movie where she's going to get her comeuppance. Actually, they were pretty weak about how they show how you pay back someone who's done this to well over 1,000 people. And then you root for her because she's a powerful woman CEO. Right? And so I think it could have been great if they'd have focused on just her and Dianne Wiest. Like, because, I mean, think about it. How would an older woman escape from this place and beat this younger, sharper woman? That would have been more interesting to see, more to me, than to say, oh, her son happens to be a Russian mafia guy. But don't worry, because she can kick his ass, with a taser, and that's it. So I didn't like this film at all. So yeah, and again, I think this is where I got the idea for the show for Antihero. Some people thought she was an antihero. I'm saying, no, she wasn't. There was nothing redeeming about her at all, right? She's literally a villain, and there's nothing to say, okay, I can see why you do that. There's nothing like that at all. So pretty ugly, pretty nasty. Watch it at your own peril. Know that it's good in the beginning. Premise is set up well. Notice that Rosamund Picke can act her ass off. She really makes you hate her. But the film just starts to dissolve as it goes on. And you start saying, can I really root for this? And it's kind of crazy. So what about you, Johnny? What have you watched lately?
In 2 days' time, I binge watched Normal People on Hulu, and that was a really interesting one for me. I really enjoyed it. It's an Irish show following two main characters and their relationship through the end of high school into college and through college. Romantic relationship, but it's really a fascinating look at relationships in general, and the two characters, Connell and Marianne, they kind of collide and separate repeatedly, but not for the typical reasons in most like sitcoms or anything like that. They have different paths. They clearly love each other, but the biggest problem in the whole thing is neither one of them can really commit. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Connell, they're both highly intelligent kids, top of their class, and they both know it. They both recognize it in each other, but Connell hides it from his friends with sports, and Marianne will, stand up for herself against even the teachers all the time, and so it's a really interesting mix of things.
Wow,
really enjoyed it.
Normal People.
Yeah,
it's on Zulu or Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
Hulu, okay.
It is from BBC, so you can probably catch it on BBC America. I'm assuming. I don't know where else you might be able to catch it, but it's really darn good.
Yeah.
Just one season so far, and I don't know that there's any plans for a second season, but there's a lot of people asking for a second season.
Interesting. Yeah. Very good. How about you, Prim? How about you, Prim? What have you been watching lately?
Well, of course, it's a horror movie. And of course, I watch a lot of foreign movies. So I introduced my lady to a movie called Inside. Not sure if you guys are familiar with it. It got released 2007. And basically, it's about a lady and her husband get into a car accident with another lady who was pregnant. And the lady in the other car lost her baby, so she comes back and takes the woman's baby because she was pregnant also. So it's a lot of cat and mouse. I want to say low budget, but you could tell it wasn't the best budget in the movie, but it was definitely good. Definitely a lot of gore, a lot of special effects, stuff like that. But when it comes to foreign movie, they really take it there and just push the package. And I don't want to say too much, but if you're into foreign movies, if you don't mind reading subtitles, I think you guys might enjoy this movie called Inside, which I think they did American remake, which I didn't see because majority of the movies that they make, America do remakes on is not really that good. So
yeah, agreed.
That's what I watch.
What country's your origin from this one?
France.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. How about you, Zach? What have you been watching lately?
All right. So I watched. So I've been watching a little TV, and what I've been kind of digging on is season 3 of Disenchantment and season 2 of Harley Quinn. And I wanted to do them both today because number one, I'm finding that more and more that that the serial is back, but it's back in animated form. Because you're really seeing some of the best character-driven stuff in cartoon form. Because you're seeing stuff from Rick and Morty, you're seeing, Disenchantment and Harley Quinn, like I said. And again, I wanted to bring up both of these today because they're both kind of different approaches to the anti-hero. Because Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti have really crafted Harley Quinn into a really terrific anti-hero, because she does noble things, but does them the wrong way.
Okay.
Just, right cause, wrong way to go about it. All of it.
Yes.
Yes. And with Disenchantment, you get a really morally flawed hero. Like there is no like noble hero in this. It's everyone is a morally flawed character.
Okay.
So, like I said, you see these people doing the wrong things, but them doing it for the right reasons. It's kind of interesting two approaches to it with these characters in these shows. But again, like I said, it's really wonderful to see how good storytelling can still come through animation. And again, with rather than a movie, you're getting the serial, giving it time to develop, giving it time to develop the character, giving it time to develop the story, and really kind of being, with both of these shows, they're a lot of fun. Harley Quinn is absolutely amazing. It's just funny as hell. And certainly
I'm about to check that out. Sounds good.
If you haven't checked that out on HBO Max, it's phenomenal work. And again, if you like Amanda and Jimmy's Harley Quinn, it's a really kind of picture perfect look at that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I like animation, so I'll check it out.
Yeah. It's wonderful gore, immensely violent. It is not a cartoon for kids.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, now we know. Okay, kids, be careful. So there we go. Because as soon as we tell kids not to watch it, they'll try to go watch it, right?
I don't watch it as a kid, and I enjoyed it. Turned out just fine. Thanks.
This is great. So how about this?
I'll keep it PG. I'll be mindful to keep it PG.
It's all good. So let's go ahead then. Now let's get into the topic. So now if we want to debate, punch each other, slug each other, we can do that. Whatever. I don't care. I'm just trying to talk about movies, damn it. So here's the thing. Okay. We're talking about the best anti-heroes in film And this is going to cover a huge gambit because there's been several different types. And so, Johnny, you've got an interesting pick. So let's just start with you.
All right. My number one, Ferris Bueller.
Whoa! Now tell me about this, man.
I mean, come on. Ferris Bueller is just. I'm speechless on that one. And
He's a
So
selfish
am I.
prick. That's what it is.
He is, but,
Yep.
but that's exactly the point, right?
Okay.
He defined a whole generation,
Oh, okay.
Right.
We're going there. Okay. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of interesting things about Ferris Bueller, right?
Right.
He's doing this for his own reasons. He just doesn't want to go to school one day, right? It's toward the end of his
Right.
senior year. He
Right.
doesn't want to go to school.
Right.
So he fakes being sick. His parents, phenomenal parents, right?
Right.
They absolutely love him. They adore him.
Right.
They will do anything for him. They encourage him.
Mhm.
He's not a bad kid.
Right.
So, sure, they let him stay home, right?
Right.
His sister, though,
Mhm.
of course, is very onto him.
Sure.
Can't stand him. Tries to get him caught.
Mm-hmm.
Principal.
Mm-hmm.
Principal is after him all day long,
Mhm.
doing all sorts of horrible things.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So the principal, who's supposed to be the authority figure, is actually the one doing all the really bad things, trying to catch
Mhm.
Ferris
Mhm.
in the act.
Mm-hmm.
And the really interesting moment there is when the secretary is trying to explain to the principal
Mm-hmm.
why everybody likes Ferris. Because everybody likes him. And her response is simply, he's a righteous dude. Right?
Yeah,
So
he's utterly charismatic. That's one of the
Exactly.
that's one of the things about the anti-heroes, that they're absolutely full of charisma.
yes. And so the redeeming aspect of this is he drags his best friend,
Mm-hmm.
who also doesn't want to go to school, but is just depressed, right?
Right. Right.
Out of his shell and
Right.
out into the world,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's that sense of escapism and freedom into the big adult world, and you get these grand views, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get these huge shots where they're in the museum and they're so tiny and everything is so big in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it's not what they expected. At the end of the day,
Mhm.
they have to face the consequences of what they did when they wrecked the Ferrari
Mhm.
and
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of other things. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
To
and
me,
Yeah.
classic anti-hero.
yeah, the
Okay.
world revolves around him.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Very
Well,
80s.
I'll-
Very 80s.
I would say Ferris Bueller is a cult classic.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
It's I love the movie. I think it should be shown at the beginning of the summer to kick the summer season off. It's perfect. There's nothing wrong with that movie, and all generation need to watch that movie.
Yeah.
Just like we watched a Christmas Story.
Mm-hmm.
We need to play that.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Ferris Bueller. It's a great movie.
It's your spring break Christmas story. There you go.
Yeah, let's do it on Memorial Day or something.
There you go.
Just let's get this going.
So how about you,
But-
Prim? Give us one of your favorite anti-heroes.
I'm going to go with Batman. You know, I read comic books.
Okay.
You know, of course, I enjoy the movie,
Okay.
the first animated TV show, and what makes him stand out is the writers who write Batman. Like, they really take their time and put thought in writing his character. That they even wrote it where he can beat the Justice League. All right, so they don't really dip into where him being like a magician or him being a detective, which they need to put that in the forefront. Hopefully, in the new movie that he's coming out, they will display that techniques that he have. But when it comes to Batman, you know, a tragic situation messed up his psyche that he's in a cave dressed up as a bat, as a billionaire fighting crime as a vigilante. And I think that's a well-written storyline for an anti-hero. So I'm going with Batman.
Okay.
Now, I think it's interesting because I think Batman's an interesting choice because he's really developed into an anti-hero as the cinema got darker, because he was always the good guy in the TV show.
Yeah.
But then you start seeing him. You start seeing him come out in the Michael Keaton film and the Michael Keaton Tim Burton films, and then you really see it in the Christopher Nolan films.
Yeah. In the Frank Miller comic books is where you really see him.
The gentleman with the hat.
Yeah.
What's your name again, sir?
Zach.
Zach.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think that if Tim Burton didn't shoot or made the first Batman, and somebody else you think would have been lighter? Because a lot of his movies is dark.
Well, I think it was I think Tim Burton kind of kicked it off, to be honest with you. I think he kind of kicked it off into the way the comic books really told it.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, we being the age that we are, grew up on the 1966, 1967 Batman show and reruns, which is all bright colors and the bold hero and things like that. But when you start reading the comics, when you start reading the comics and things like that, when you started seeing The Dark Return, and you start seeing Dark Knight Returns, I think it would have eventually gotten there, but I don't know, like I said, who would have taken it on. And if it hadn't been for Tim Burton taking that risk, I don't know how we get to the dark stuff that we've got, the dark superheroes that we've got now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I feel like being a big fan of his movies, when I found out that he was directing, I thought it was a perfect choice to have him make the first Batman movie.
Yeah, he was a perfect choice.
For me, generally. I'm just saying for myself.
Yeah.
Sure. So that's, I mean, Batman's an interesting one, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's definitely an interesting one. So I think what'll help us give more texture to this is looking at some people who really hit the hard line as what an anti-hero is, because it's strange, because the anti-hero doesn't have to necessarily start doing a bunch of positive things. It could just be that in their past life they were really, really destroyed, and they're living with the guilt and the regret, and that's why they're trying to do better things now. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
Sound like Winter Soldier. Oops.
Yep, right. No, that's a good call. Winter Soldier, right? We're going comics. So how about you, K-Zach?
All right, so I decided to go, let's see, which one do I want to go with? I'm going to go with one who you might not suspect is an anti-hero, but if you look at it, absolutely is, and that is Dr. Hannibal Lecter.
Yes.
Now, I'll point out that for me, my favorite characters in the movie are usually the smartest guy in the room. And Hannibal Lecter is absolutely the smartest guy in the room. He is the one who saves Frederica Bilmo, because he lets them know who Buffalo Bill had, or where Buffalo Bill is, who has him, etc.
Yeah.
Basically, he's the one who kind of saves the day in that. He does it for a promise of more freedom and things like that, but he's still, like I said, doing the noble thing. He's just like I said, he's the hero in Silence of the Lambs. And I mean, you watch his adventures in Hannibal, and you watch him in Red Dragon as the advisor to Will Graham. He is a truly bad human being.
Mm-hmm.
But what he does is ultimately the right thing. And again, he also has his own set of morals and things like that, because when he eats someone, he doesn't eat someone just to eat someone. He eats them because they've offended him. They've offended his sensibility.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing away with bad flute players, and he's doing away with crazy. He's doing away with crazy, insane, molesters. But like I said, he does what he does because of his own moral code.
Yeah.
So that's not what makes him a villain. That's what makes him an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Pairing anything
Agreed.
with fava beans, though, is very much against my code.
Well, the one that I picked, actually there's the three, but I guess the first one I'll start with is I will start with Travis Bickel, Taxi Driver.
Okay.
Right? You have to go back and look at this. And so, again, in his mind, he thinks he's doing the right thing in the beginning, right? Because he's basically looking at New York City and he's going, what a cesspool this has become. This is disgusting, right? And he tries to help the prostitutes by giving them rides and this sort of thing. He starts off with his own delusion because he's kind of stepped back, but he's not wrong, because New York was in a very, very bad place, and Scorsese shot it wonderfully. with all the dark tones, and then whenever he showed any color, it was mostly like red. So whenever he wanted to show a stop sign or a traffic light, he focused on the red. He wanted you to see danger, that this person is unhinged. You also have this guy that wants to date women, right? He's trying to date women. He's thinking that he's not enough. And he starts to dive into this masculinity piece that gets turned way over as soon as these women see this weirdness about him and then don't want to have nothing to do with it. And then the very thing that he preached against in this film, he actually becomes, right? So he's telling people they should eat better and take care of themselves, yet he's putting alcohol in his food, right? He's telling women that he wants to save them, look after them, but if they reject him, then he stalks them and he goes crazy and he starts doing all this other behavior that's just way out there. So he's this person that you can see has this huge inner conflict with him. There is a good guy there that has good thoughts, but what usually represents itself, what ends up showing up, is the total walking contradiction. And they say that in one of the lines in the movie, that one of the girls says, "You're just a total walking contradiction." But you watch this man deconstruct and decompose and then go to the very things he says he hates, he starts to embody them. So you could totally see the anti-hero vibe here and exactly how it forced him to basically try to live out a dual life, to which then eventually gave into just the side he really thought he was, which was the monster.
Did Martin Scorsese shoot that movie? Did he make that movie?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, what's the line? A rain's going to come down and wash the city away, or something like that.
Yeah, he said something like, "The rain washed me down." He goes, "I guess God made me a lonely guy." And so when you watch this film, everything's small. His room is small. Everything that he does is small. He's sitting in a taxi cab. When they show the women and the other people in the world, it's bigger, it's larger, right? And so he's trying to show the scope of how lonely this guy is. And when you are lonely and you're lonely for long periods of time, if there's nobody to contradict your crazy thoughts.
Someday a rain will come and wash all the scum off the face of the earth, or something like that.
Yes.
Someday a real rain will come and wash all the scum off the streets.
Yeah.
And he wants to be that rain.
Yeah.
And that's he knows what he wants to do, just the wrong way.
Yeah, he wants to rid the world of filth.
Yeah.
By becoming filth himself. And so it's just a great character study. And I think what Scorsese was trying to show us is that inner conflict, because nobody's all good and nobody's all bad. And so what happens when this person thinks that they're moving down the right path, and then when they get rebuffed, we'll know if you're good because you'll just take it as a rebuff. But he didn't take it as a rebuff. He took it as you're denying me. So now winner takes all. So yes, I think this movie is great. I think if you haven't watched this film, if people haven't watched this film in 5-10 years, you need to go back and watch it, because it is a masterclass on trying to deconstruct and show what society looks like, and then from a male perspective, what he thought he needed to look like or become in order to get, Betsy, Sybil Shepherd's character, right? There's this thing that we think we need to become and be, and it's not that it's harmful, but if you play it out the way he plays it out all the way, you eventually become the cowboy, which that's another great anti-hero that we'll talk about. How about you, Johnny? What else you got?
Okay, this one is very borderline here for me, but it's Charles Bronson.
Okay.
His birth name, Michael Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
So probably the most notorious criminal in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
He is serving multiple life sentences now,
Mm-hmm.
not for what he did initially, but for what he's done inside of prison.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible guy, by
Mm-hmm.
the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I chose him,
Mm-hmm.
or chose this film,
Okay.
because it's a brilliant look at what created
Mm-hmm.
this monster,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and what's interesting about it to me, and why I chose him as an anti-hero, is similar to Joker, actually,
Mm-hmm.
in the latest film,
Mm-hmm.
is that he starts out as somebody that's kind of lost. He doesn't fit in anywhere.
Yeah.
And it happened in a time when there was a lot of unemployment
Mm-hmm.
in the UK, and he got into crime very, very rapidly and very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And it spiraled out of control from there.
Mm-hmm.
But the the level of the level of violence that he goes to is shocking to anybody. So why I chose him still as an anti-hero though is because I think it shines a light on some of the problems in justice system, not just in the UK, but we have very similar processes here in the United States, and what being in prison does to people.
Yeah. No, that sounds great.
He just became a feral animal wanting freedom. And so as long as he's in prison, he's going to have his freedom anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy. How about you, Prem?
Let me see which one I want to go with. Let's go with Wolverine.
All right. Tell us about Wolverine.
Definitely think he's an anti-hero. The way he carries himself, he goes by his own rules. When he's not engaged in battle with villains or the government or whatever, he's steady trying to take Scott's wife, Jean Grey, and he knows it, so he has no respect for his teammates. But at the end of the day, if they need him, he's there for them. So Wolverine is definitely an anti-hero who marches to his own drum. That's all I got for you.
Okay. Yeah. So, what do you think, Kazak? You're squinting really hard.
I've always seen Wolverine as the hero, because again, he's that guy who always does the right thing. I mean, is it just the methods because he has no qualms about killing anyone who gets in his way, or is it just like I said, or is it just that he's uniquely selfish?
Yeah. I mean, every time he's not in battle, he's at the mansion trying to hit on Scott's wife.
Well,
and that's his. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely actually he kissed her. So and Scott, who is Cyclops, they're going back and forth. So
I mean, maybe
he does what he wants. He leaves the member. I mean, he leaves the group without permission. He comes back, sometimes in a drunken stupor.
Yeah, I mean,
if he feels like the mission is warranted, he will join in. If not, he'll sit back because he doesn't join all the fights all the time.
He's not.
But at the end of the day, when it hits, the rubber hit the road, he would join in and really be there for his teammate.
Okay, so he's
that's
not
him.
He's not
in
the
the
team player.
books.
He's not the team player. He's just he's just a guy who works out of necessity.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. Oh, and these are good. These are good. Because that's what I think this does, is this help us see it. And I think as we go a little deeper, we'll see, because I think that's a very thin line, because with this one, Wolverine is not trying to be the guy who's going out and killing. This is the thing where he's just lazy, and I don't think that makes you an anti-hero just because you're lazy.
The X-Men are all
I wouldn't say lazy. I would say he pick and choose what he feels warranted. But at the end of the day, he will assist and help. But if he feel like it's not that serious to him, he won't do nothing. And it could be the world, the world coming to an end, and he's like, not this one. And he's cracking open beers, and then the next one, he's like, I think this one is serious, and he'll join in. That's what they've been doing all through comic books. I still read the books to this day. So
Okay.
Yeah, I think Punisher actually fits that role a little better, but that's okay. I mean, there's a way to see it both ways, right? How about you, Kazak?
All right, so the next one I chose is the one that I grew up on as the anti-hero, the perfect one for me, and that was Snake Plissken from Escape from New York and Escape from L.A., the creation of Kurt Russell and John Carpenter, because, man, like I said at the top of the show, desperate times call for desperate situations, and there's no more desperate situation than the president going down inside of New York. So you know who you send in? The worst possible guy, because he's not the guy's going to get the job done. That's who you always call to get the job done. He's a criminal. He's selfish. Anytime he shows compassion, it falls apart around him. Everything is a tragic circumstance when Snake Plissken comes around.
Yeah.
And you always underestimate Snake Plissken. But the thing is that the man is an ultimate badass. He has always been a badass. And that's the thing that makes him so watchable. I mean, he is the bad guy. He is everything that the establishment hates. And he's absolutely perfect for the role. It's always fun to watch Snake Plissken do what he does because he does desperate situations so well. Everything with him is a desperate situation, and that's kind of what builds the anti-hero. He'll do the wrong thing, but always for the right reason.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like I said, he's that first anti-hero that I embraced when I was really young. I mean, it's 81. I'm about 5 or 6 years old. My folks are renting and skipping around. I'm like, okay, I'll watch this, and there it is.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, it's an ultra-violent film. God, it's amazing.
So
yeah,
anti-heroes is usually their own agenda. Like they do things on their own accord. Usually, because. And Snake Plissken, he was kind of forced in that situation to save the president.
Yeah. But
they took him out, and it was like, if you don't do this, I don't know, they had something around his neck, like a timer or something.
Yeah, basically, they put him in the situation where, because he is a criminal. I mean, that's how they pop him. That's how they send him into the prison of New York. But they inject him with a virus that is going to kill him and will kill him in 24 hours unless he gets the president out and gets the antidote. Like I said, that builds a desperate situation.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, he's a bad guy. He's going to do bad things to get the right to get the right thing done.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first Suicide Squad guy, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I've got one that you probably. This one you don't debate because this is absolutely the perfect picture of an anti-hero. And the guy I'm going to talk about now is William Money in Unforgiven. That's what this whole movie is all about. The title gives it away when it says Unforgiven. So what we get is a guy who did horrible things. He says in the movie, I shot women, I shot children, I shot anything that moved. He says that in the very first part of the movie. And so what we get is a guy who knows he's done bad things. He tries to make the transition into regular life. He tried to become a pig farmer. That wasn't going too well for him. And then finally, as in most Westerns, somebody gets hurt and the group gets together, this group of women get together because a prostitute got disfigured because a man beat her up. And so they got their money together to say, we're going to pay $1,000 for somebody to go take this fool out. So what's great about this movie is you're talking about the open, wide West with a complete moral arrangement than what you have here today. And back then, people could shoot you and just get on their horse and walk away and would think nothing of it. But here, he goes out of his way to let you know, I've killed women and children and anything that moves. This is not a good guy. However, this farm, ranch, and pig thing ain't working too well. So now he says, okay, $1,000, I'll go find this dude that did this because that's a horrible thing that somebody did, even though I've killed women. You see the thing here? And so what happens is we love this because here's a guy who really thinks that the only way at some point to end something is through violence. And the movie keeps showing you that violence only begets more violence, and then eventually his best friend, Ned, gets killed by the sheriff, right? And so after a while, everybody's taking turns being evil. So you see him and you see he's wondering about, can I ever really be forgiven for all the stuff I've done? Because it seems to drive me to more killing. Right. And so this is completely an anti-hero because this is somebody who you would not root for at all. He had one agenda. I stay alive. And it doesn't matter who has to die. Right. That's just not good. So he had his own agenda. But then the part where he was doing something or looked at something nobly is he did have, after all the regret from all the killing, some soft space in him for this woman. Plus he needed the money too. He needed both. So we get that. But the route at which he went to punish those dudes, and then the fact that he enjoyed it and saw that he was reconnected back with his violence again. But then his best friend gets killed, Ned. So now he's angrier, more angry. And so all he sees is violence, begets more violence, begets more violence. And this is one of the best Westerns ever, as far as I'm concerned. Because right when they were about to get tropey and right as they were about to dive down, this movie said, we're not going to play the good guy, bad guy thing. We're going to let you try to figure out morally what was the right thing to do here and what would you do if you were him. Somebody who was trying to change at the end of his life because he realized what he did earlier was horrible. and he was trying to fit into society, but the only thing that kept, it's like the old saying, well, once I got out, they pulled me back in, right? The old gangster thing. This is a
thing.
yes, and that's Unforgiven. So if you haven't seen Unforgiven in a while, you've got to watch it again, and you get to see that this is one of the last great westerns.
Yeah, it's a western that finally goes into that gray area, that gray moral area, because all the cowboy movies before, they don't have that thing about, they don't have that moral high ground about killing. It's just you shoot Comanches because they're all they're all savages, and you go in and you
bad guys wear black, the good guy wears white.
Right. This one really turns the western on its side.
Yeah.
And it exposes that bad underbelly. Again, this is a bad man put in a bad situation to do the right thing.
Yeah, and absolutely.
It's a bad thing all the way around, but a bad thing needs to happen to make things right.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a really great anti-hero.
Yes, and so this one, if you want a masterclass on anti-heroes, you got to watch Unforgiven again, because what you'll notice when you're watching it is, you're going, well, who is the good guy here? Because the sheriff, Little Bill, is a jerk, and he's beating up people and doing horrible things, and he kills Ned, right? And then you look at the other guys, the kid that wanted to come along and recruit him, right? That kid had a bloodlust to kill somebody, and the film shows you what it's like to kill, and everybody has a hard problem dealing with killing, even though they're willing to do it. Right? No one survives after killing. It does something to them psychologically, everybody in this film. And then, so you don't even know it at one point. Well, who are the good guys if the sheriff's a heel and everyone, so I
there isn't one.
That's right.
And that's the great thing about that movie.
Yes, because he learns, I guess it can be Unforgiven. So how about you, Johnny?
My last one is Sanjiro from the movie Yojimbo.
Interesting.
It's definitive to me of the anti-hero.
Okay.
So it takes place toward the end of the Tokugawa shogunate. The samurai class is kind of coming to their last days, and you've got this wandering Ronin walking along the street, deciding which way to go, sees a couple of people arguing, and decides to head to that town because there's trouble, and he can capitalize on it. He walks into this town, realizes that there's two factions that are fighting each other, and he decides to capitalize on it, trying to get both sides to hire him, after showing how much better he is than everybody fighting for each side. And the beauty of it is that as he befriends one person in the town in particular, he starts seeing the damage that's done. There's no commerce happening in this town anymore, and it's all about this feud between these two factions. And the deeper he goes into sitting above them, watching them, and laughing at them, he starts seeing how horrible they really are, and starts becoming morally furious about it, and decides that he has to end it. So it's an amazing film. Kurosawa, of course.
Yep.
Inspired
Star
by
Wars,
westerns, but also inspired a lot more westerns.
Sure.
to change
Absolutely.
drastically.
Absolutely. That's the plot of the Man with No Name trilogy. That's a plot of A Fistful of Dollars right there, man.
Yep.
So
Classic
monumentally
movie.
influential film.
Yeah.
Definitely worth a watch.
Definitely. How about you, Prim? Give us another anti-hero.
I was gonna go with Deadpool, but I think I'm gonna change my mind and go with a horror theme. I'm gonna go with Jigsaw from Saw. Basically, he puts you in a situation, and he has you reevaluate your life. At the same time, you have to get through these traps, and when you get out the other side, then you have a new take on life. And that's the theme with Jigsaw. But basically, that's what I got for you for now. Keep it nice and short.
No,
That's an anti-hero.
No, I'll as a horror fan, I'll agree with him on that, because Jigsaw is always giving you, number one, his movies are about the path to redemption. Like, basically, you got to do something terrible to redeem yourself. whenever he puts you into a desk, whenever he puts you into a game. Jigsaw, like I said, he is an absolutely a bad man because he's putting people in the path of basically either killing themselves or hurting themselves to do something wrong. But like I said, he's doing it for his own moral reasons. If he's putting someone in a game, it's because they've done something wrong. They've done something terrible. He's going after a paparazzi. A doctor cheats on his wife. Junkies who kill, things like that. He's never doing it for. He's doing the terrible thing, or he's putting the people into a wrong situation and giving them a chance to take a pound of flesh to get themselves right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's not killing them. He's giving them a chance.
Exactly.
To redeem themselves. So yeah, that's why I went with it.
And if they do the wrong thing or they make the wrong or selfish choice, they're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So yeah, I can argue that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
I haven't really watched any of the Saw films, so I can't really say one way or the other. But yeah.
You don't need to go past 1. You really don't need to go past 3. You really don't.
That's one more than I was going to watch.
You really don't need to go. You really don't need to go farther than that. Trust me.
Come on, Vegabomber.
They all.
Hey man, I'm not supposed to be up here on here lying.
4 pisses me off. 4 pissed me off, and 5 just outright outraged me. So yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about. I like
right.
real. I like
All
the
right.
real. Every movie isn't great, so I'm okay with saying what's great and what isn't.
Yeah.
So let's go with my third one then, and the third anti-hero I picked, and it's probably more streamlined, is Scarface. I love Tony Montana for the specific situation that he finds himself as a refugee here in this country, and we put him all in this one area under a bridge. And you see in the beginning, all he's trying to do is he's just trying to make a living, and he's being made fun of, and people treat him like he's a spick, quote unquote, and all this other stuff. And he has very, very humble beginnings, but he has ambition. And he believes that, as we say, the world is yours, right? When he sees that blimp going by and everything like that, you see that, okay, here's a guy put over here in asylum, stuck in this place, in our country, and he is at the lowest level of the caste system here, right? Nobody respects him. Nobody thinks nothing of him, and he wants that. He wants to have the quote-unquote American dream. The difference is he takes the easiest route, finds out that he's really good at it and good at intimidating people, and then once he starts doing that, then it's a battle between him and the other bad guys. And then, of course, you watch this film for the wonderful quotes, but also to see the comeuppance at the end. And so here's a guy that you have to wonder, if he'd applied this towards a legit business, where would he have been? But instead, like normal, we get pulled in by the environments and the things that we're in. That shapes a lot of it. And so he decides to go that other route. So I like that there's the honest parts about first you get the money, then you get the, right? And he's saying things about what he's discovered about America not being there very long. He's like, oh, to get clout around here, you have to be this, and this. Okay, well, I'm going to do my way of going about getting that. Right. And so he, like I said, he exceeds, he excels, but say hi to the bad guy, because that's eventually where he becomes, and his own rules he breaks. You don't get high off your own supply. Well, he broke that. Yeah. Right. And so.
I don't know if I call Tony Montana as an anti-hero, but I think he's what you talked about earlier was the anti-protagonist. Mm-hmm. He is definitely, he is definitely on the path of destruction.
Absolutely.
Because like I said, he does have his own moral code. He won't kill women. He won't kill children, things like that. So like I said, I can see that. But again, like I said, he just does so many bad, stupid things. The terrible things he does to his sister, the terrible things he does to his friend, the terrible things he does to everyone around him. His wife, just everything about him is just pure destruction.
Yeah, well, I think the note there is, notice he became that after he got hooked on the drugs. Before the drugs, he wasn't treating his sister or his mother or things like that.
But even then, he was a killer. He was a killer in Cuba.
Yeah, no doubt. They brought him over here for asylum and all that stuff. I get that, and a bunch of folks. But when he got here, though, he was trying to say, how do I start a new life in America? Yeah. How do I move forward? Just like William Mundy was trying to say, how do I...
It's kind of like corporate America. You don't succeed without stepping on a lot of toes.
Absolutely.
And he stepped on a lot of toes to get to the top.
Yeah. I really never could get with that Scarface movie. I mean, his interaction with his sister just turned me off. I thought it like a subliminal, he was in love with his sister, and I right there just like I can't get this movie.
Yeah, no, there's a line in it for most folks, you know, that people remember. And I think for me, the one thing that I did like was when they were coming for him. I liked the fact that he was like, you know, he was going to stand up and go down fighting. And I think a lot of guys, that's when we think about the whole machismo thing, that's what we think about, is we think of, he's surrounded by people who are about to murk him, but he doesn't cry like a little and sit in the corner and all that stuff. You know, he stands up and he starts to go at them. He's being extremely aggressive in a no-win situation. He goes down fighting. I think that was the thing that when I watched it, I took that from it. Like the movie is you know, Pacino being Pacino, right? Yeah. So, but when they got to that last scene, the climax, because I knew they were going to pay him off. We all know he was the bad guy, the wrong guy. But it was like, how was he going to go out? And his stand that he took was consistent with the beliefs that he had in the beginning. In the beginning was, I want to make it. I want to be somebody. I want to, right? He just, like many people, if they get into with the wrong crowd, they become this other thing.
Yeah, that's why I'm sitting right here.
Did Brian De Palma make that movie?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So that was the last one, wasn't it?
Nice. Now you got mine.
You got yours. Okay.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So my last one. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and there is no more scorned woman than Beatrix Kiddo, a.k.a. the bride from Kill Bill.
Love it.
Like I said, she is an assassin. She is an absolute badass and a danger, but she's going after everyone for the revenge that she seeks. You know, she's going at like I said, she's killed dignitaries, she's killed diplomats, she's killed, you know, just all across the world. But finally, her killing is going towards the people who did her wrong, to get revenge for the child that she thought she lost, and then to take back the child that she finally realizes that she has. And I think it's interesting when we go into we were talking about Superman earlier, and Bill has that great monologue about Superman. You know, like I said, you have a hero that, you know, it's impossible to get behind him because he is great. He's basically has no moral flaws. He has no flaws. And the thing is, what the great thing about the anti-hero is that they have flaws and that they're dangerous and things like that. Beatrix Kiddo is absolutely a flawed hero, but she's the hero of her own story. She's not a hero in any way, shape, or form, but she's a hero to her child, and that's what she becomes. She becomes that hero. She tries to get away from the life, she can't, and because she's dragged back in to do the really bad thing. And she does the really bad thing really, really well, because she does a lot of bad things to a lot of bad people and kills a lot of people to get to where she needs to be. But she gets the job. But she gets the job done. She gets her kid back. Life is happily ever after. But like I said, that's a really great anti-hero for me. Yeah. And like I said, and again, in the tradition of the great samurai movies and a lot of that, she falls into that category. You go into the Lady Snowbloods and things like that. It's a wonderful revenge tale, and that's the joy of that film, is that it's a wonderful revenge tale. Like any good anti-hero film, it's a great revenge tale.
Yeah. No, that's good. So that is an interesting thought process, though. Like when you think about Superman, since you had brought up Superman, right? And I think what's interesting is that it's kind of sad now that we love the anti-hero so much that we find the Supermans and the Captain Americas of the world boring. Yet they're doing the same thing that the anti-heroes are doing, but they're doing it without all the violence.
Right. The hero that is the complete Boy Scout is boring.
Yeah.
The one thing you can say about the anti-hero is that they're never boring.
Yeah.
They're very relatable.
There you go.
But see, that's the funny thing. See, now that's the real debate right there. Because the moment we say that we can't cheer for people who do the right thing, we have to have people who have flaws who do the right thing, although they do a couple other things to get there. That's kind of problematic, because if you look at it, Superman may seem like the Boy Scout, right? But at the end of the day, who do you want to save the world? Who's going to do it, and who can you count on to do it and not be lazy or something else or self-interest oriented? Superman is great because he doesn't look at it just from just his own self-interest.
Right. He's noble and beautiful in what he does. But like I said, with these anti-heroes tales, there's nothing there. there may be a noble cause, but there's not a noble method to get there. Superman's always going to go for the noble method. These people aren't. Batman's not going to go there. Frank Castle's not going to go there.
But I'll make a distinction. Batman won't kill, though. Batman
No,
won't
he
kill.
won't.
Right? And he won't use a gun.
He never
either.
kills.
Right. So that's something different, though. So that's why I think he's in Batman.
Superman will. Superman will.
No,
He snaps Zod's neck.
Well,
He snaps Zod's neck.
in that choice that he was put in, if he
He
doesn't,
kills,
he's the only guy that can stop Zod. So at that point, yeah.
All right, we got to wrap this up, man.
All right, man. Wow, man. So once again, guys, what did you think? You had a chance to watch this. Did you agree? Did you disagree? Just understand it. Just you can label these things anything you want. It's just really how you get down to the definitions. And as long as the definitions from hero and anti-hero don't contradict, because otherwise the anti-hero is just a hero if he's not different, right? And the hero is no different than anti-hero. So there's got to be something. So just look at it for yourself. Look at your favorite movies. Look at the people who you said, yeah, kick their ass. Ooh, but that's not right. He didn't have to do that, though. Right? And so think about those films, watch them, and see what the moral compass is for you. Because I think what this does is, depending on your moral compass, depends on how much you either like these guys or don't like these guys. Because if your moral compass is set to a certain way, you might say, I don't care that these people killed all those people. They deserved it. Right, when killing is not always the thing that people sometimes deserve, right? If we just kill people because they did this one thing wrong.
Yeah, sometimes.
So. And also we have to allow that people will make mistakes. And so with that, y'all take a look at it, see what you think. Johnny, we're going to kick it off to you, man. Who are you going to shout out to?
Oh, geez, putting me on the spot. I have no idea who I'm.
Your mom? I mean, really? Your mom, your
Yeah,
kids?
my
I mean,
kids.
come on.
My kids, for sure. I missed them this week because of spring break. So, yeah. My kids. Not that they'll ever watch this.
Prim, who are you shouting out to?
Well, I'm about to shout out what? The 20th of this month, I will be doing a live stream, and the topic will be cult classic. What makes a cult classic movie? So if you guys want to tune in to my channel, you guys can check it out.
Where can we find you?
Prem 0011 ABLE. This is on YouTube, and I'll be live streaming that the 20th. I will send more information to Vegabomber he can share with you guys, and you guys can tune in or even take part.
Cool.
And my platform, you can do what you want. Say more, because you gotta be mindful of certain people's platform like Vegabomber, so I'll be respectful to his platform. And that's it. But I definitely enjoy hanging out with you guys. Hopefully, I can come back, see more, do more videos with you guys, cover more topics dealing with the movie genre, and let's see what happens. And hopefully you guys can come on my platform and do the same thing. So appreciate you guys hanging out, and definitely enjoyed it.
Thanks, Prim. We appreciate you for coming on. And K-Zach, who are you shouting out?
All right, we want to give shout outs to everyone here on Dallas On Air. We want to go give a shout outs to Jansen and Kat. Like I said, they give us a home here every week. We do also want to shout out a lot of the other shows here on DallasOnAir.com, including Fan and Wife, including Figments and Explain Mysteries podcast. Check out our sports shows, BFB, 12-Pack. Check out Trey Dillon and Say Something, who has always got something crazy and something to say. And of course, stay tuned right here for a special episode of the Rant Core Pit Live with Cole Houston. We're going to be doing, talking. Ridden Beasts in the Star Wars universe this week. But like I said, you can also check out Cole on Isle of Toys. And of course, the home for your favorite Star Wars guys right here in DallasOnAir.com. Every Talk Nerdy to Me Sunday right here.
Awesome. And so for me, I'm giving those shout outs to Brandy and Barry Austin, Sean Presley, Lauren Wiedauer, the Film Samurai himself, Carlos Salinas, Troy Ross, Michael Paul, Harry Thomas, Mad Mel, Eddie Medina, of course, and of course, Jedi Cole, and then Scott Laney and Sandra. So that's our show. Thank you guys for watching. We talked about anti-heroes. The discussion, as you can tell, could have gone on for hours, and maybe we'll revisit it with a part 2. We'll see. So at any rate, we'll see you guys. We're out. Peace.
Peace.